Boxing King Media in association with Boxstro. Sonny, we've done Dubai, we've done
And fast line still services.
yeah, well, we've done the UK, and we're here in Orlando, Florida. A lot of people didn't think you'd make it to the USA, but you're here. You've had a mad week, and we're just gonna have a bit of a quick recap on Florida. How was your first experience in the USA?
Yeah, it's been a great few days. Flew out Wednesday, back later tonight. Gonna be in London for the next leg of the press uh, tomorrow. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's been a good week.
It sure has. Just tell me initially, you've never been to the States before, so how was your first impressions? Did you have any assumptions about US and just American people?
I don't know. It's been good though. Like everyone's dealt with us nicely. Was getting shown a lot of love in the crowd, through the fans, the other fighters as well. Had a good few conversations out here. Made some good friendships. Yeah, it's like I said, it's been a great trip. A bit like the movies though. I'll be real. Everything seems a bit of a cliche. Went to Disneyland. Um, I've been around the hotel all week. The fight night was in the hotel, which was nice. I always like it when it's nice and close. Seems like a little like boxing holiday when you haven't got to be travelling around. But yeah, it's been great. I think yesterday was a great night of boxing. I thought Sandy Ryan was very hard done by.
I'm going to come to the fights, but one of the first things that I want to say to you, I feel like I've got no shame in saying this, but I feel like I'm proud of you because I've known you for a long time, and I remember the first time we met, you had all these dreams. You was telling me that you're going to fight here, you're going to fight all the champions, you're not afraid to fight anyone. And I remember you specifically telling me about 2.5 years ago that you'd fight anyone, even if you have to go to America, you're going as the away fighter. And I know when you get to top tier level, when you're a world champion, sometimes people try and change that, and you kind of fulfill that. So I think it's worth people knowing that you've been in Dubai, you fought Wasim over there in a bit of a hostile environment where all the fans were like supporting him, and you're going to do it in the US. So I think fans need to appreciate that.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Yeah, I've been saying it for a long time because I've genuinely believed it for a long time, and I feel like I still have a lot more to offer and a lot more to go through. Bam's a great fighter, but I always knew that really for me to get the fighters that I'd always wanted but couldn't get, I probably would have to give away some advantages, and going to America, something I was always excited to do. Like, I mean, what British fighter growing up doesn't want that night of glory in the States as the away fighter, especially against an American, well-backed fighter? I feel like that's the perfect way to do it, to get another world title as well. I'm not just going over there to defend or challenge. It's 2 world champions, the best versus the best, as everyone keeps telling me. And yeah, like it feels like a big fight, all of this and the response every time there's a little bit of anything going out. There's a lot of traction and a lot of interest. So for 2 flyweights to be generating this amount of noise 12 weeks out of a fight, probably quite unheard of. I'm looking forward to seeing what we can do with the rest of the build-up.
So am I. One of the things I want to raise is obviously we're here for the Conor Benn fight week. They've obviously promoted your fight as well. I just want to initially speak to you about Conor. How was it meeting Conor? Because I know you're outspoken. You don't really care what people think or say about you. You'll speak and say your mind. So how was it meeting Conor? And I'm pretty sure and I've seen a picture of you guys together. So you must have had a chat.
Yeah, but that's not the first time I've met Conor. I've met Conor loads of times. Since what I was ever saying on Twitter, I was seeing Conor at the shows, Obviously we've seen this time. We had a little speak, but, what I like about the conversation I have with Conor is neither of us have to lose ourselves to have the conversation. What a lot of people don't understand is they think we stood there next to each other and, like, someone's, like, bowing down to the other. Like, nah, like, he said his piece, I said my piece, like, what I think, what he thinks. But what I do believe at this point is, if we're just talking about actual boxing case studies, most of the cases that I can remember right now, people that failed a drugs test didn't spend more than 6 months out of a ring, let alone 12 months, let alone close to 18 months out of a boxing ring. If we're talking about the reality of the situation, yes, he failed drugs test, but he then took a fight off the table and he stayed a prolonged period of time out of the ring. We can name examples. Canelo, 6 months ban. Martinez, 0 months ban. Valdez fought a week later, 2 weeks later, and got upgraded his position in boxing as a WBC official clean boxing program ambassador. So for Conor Benn missing out on his biggest payday, getting sort of dragged his name through the mud. Okay, yeah, he might have bounced and jumped on a few stepping stones of loopholes of smart lawyers, etc. but the rights still stand. He can get commission somewhere. He spent more time than all the names I just mentioned, and there's more we could talk about that always seem to just slip the net or whatever. So he spent time at the ring. He can get a license. It's not in the UK anyway, so it is what it is. And yeah, we had the conversation. I said my piece, he said his piece. We had a little back and forth, but like, love's always there. Like, I'm actually good friends with his brother Harley, like good friends. It was probably annoying that this became like something in my relationship for a period of time with Harley, but like it's now nice that everything's nice. You know what I mean? Me speaking and mentioning boxing. Like people think I'm fake or I've turned or I'm like you know, I don't know, Tony Belly Mark II. That's what I've been called. Yeah.
I'm gonna back you up on that.
No, but what I'm saying is, at the time of me saying I believe he did it, I believe that. Even now, I still believe he probably did it. But the actual reality is, I also believe now that he spent enough time out of a ring, lost out on that biggest payday, and compared to what everyone else is getting slapped right and left and right and centre, it's about justice. He's probably had it even worse than some of the other fighters I previously mentioned.
Is it worth saying, do you think he's had, forget the punishment side, do you reckon he's had more heat from the media and the fans and the comments you see online? Do you think he's had more heat than the names that you already mentioned there?
100%, like 100%, and that's because the British, they love the negativity, where other countrymen, they're trying to sweep it under the carpet and make sure the media don't jump on it too much and they paint a certain narrative, otherwise people are getting put in the headlocks and that. But obviously the British public, they love to build someone up, but they're waiting and waiting, ready to tear them down. So that's what happened. I can still get agitated at someone failing a drugs test and all the sort of the smoke and mirrors, but now the time that has elapsed, I would say, is longer than the time that all those other fighters aforementioned served out of the ring. So, and boxing needs drama, unfortunately, and I want to see the Chris Eubank fight. So, yeah, I'm a boxing fan as well that likes events happening rather than not. But that, I can still like someone and that still be the case and still have the conversation. And if anyone picked up on the conversation, he said his point, and I said if you watch all the videos, there is in every single one I'm saying, if he didn't do it, if I was sat there in his shoes and I didn't do it, my head would be blown and I'd hate me and everyone else that was speaking about me. So I get it. But obviously there's also that grey area for someone like me that has passed, 30 drugs tests, never failed, gets, chasing around 365 whereabouts, given an hour slot every single day of the year, and had to abide by all the rules and managed to. So obviously this is a frustration for someone like me when reacting to, the breakout news of that content. It's never personal, you see me walking around fight weeks and every show, and I'm friends with everyone, really. I'm friends with the whole of boxing. I'll be real, there's very few people I don't like.
I'll back up that you don't, because anyone that's got an assumption where when you meet people face to face, you back down, you don't, you do still say your piece. I've seen that firsthand. So credit to both of you for having an adult conversation and moving on with that. One of the things I want to highlight is that we'll touch on it briefly, is that I managed to arrange for you and Bam Bam to have a game of table tennis. You did lose, I think it was 14-14 at one point, but you was winning easy, but you decided to swap sides because it was windy, and then obviously the game changed.
Do you know what it is, yeah? I was winning the game, and I was putting a big part of it down to that the wind on that side was terrible. So when the game was halfway through, I'd say I swapped it, and then I couldn't get the win. So it happened the other way. But it was a good game, good fun. I'm a good competitor, man. If I had my way, yeah. From there we would have went in the pool and did a race, and then we would have went into the arcade, and then played pool. And then went go-karting. You see, man, I'm just competitive. That's how I get my competitive now. So it hasn't got to be angry or fighting each other and that. I'm competitive. I just want to beat you at everything. So I was a bit annoyed when I lost, even though I could live with it, because there's no way I would have lost, as everyone knows, if I didn't change that. I don't think.
I'll back you up. You was winning, and unfortunately the win screwed it up for you, but I saw the competitive nature in you. So going on to the fight, obviously that anyone who thinks that was round one, it's obviously not round one, because the fight's going to be a lot more competitive. Just moving on to the judging. We saw last night, Sonny, two highlights. We saw Sandy Ryan, everyone's online gone crazy saying she's been robbed. Conor Benn, who most people thought won every single round, maybe one or two, he might have lost two max, but one judge gave it to him 6-4, one round away from a draw. Does that concern you? Because you're going to go to Arizona in a hostile Mexican crowd. Everything Bam Bam does is going to be cheered, and everything you do is going to be quiet. So surely that's raised flags for you.
Yeah, I can't lie. Obviously, I was on the commentary desk for that fight, and the consensus across the panel was that Sandy was well winning. She was up, like, with 3 rounds to go. All she had to do was get to the end, I feel like. Pardon me. And then once again, boxing leaves you speechless. I just don't know how those rounds were scored. I'm a friend of Sandy's, but if she was taking a pasting, I would have no issue calling that, because when I'm sat there and I'm thinking and I'm speaking, I know I'm speaking to people that know boxing, so it, if I try and, kid a kidder, they're going to know that I'm chatting shit. So I thought Sandy was well ahead. I think the reaction shows that for everyone else. And yeah, if I'm perfectly honest, I was disgusted. I made sure I was the first person to speak after the decision, and I made my thoughts very clear on the matter on the commentary table, because I weren't sure, quite sure, it might have, but I wasn't 100% sure at the time if anyone else on that table would stick up for Sandy Ryan on that decision, if I'm honest. But yeah, definitely big alarms ringing right now on the whole judging aspect of it. I'll be real, we've already put forward having some more serious, and before I didn't even think about it, I'll be perfectly real, you know me off the camera. Before I didn't even think about it, I know I'm going to win clearly, I know I'm going to win clear enough. There's no way they're going to be able to rob me, but what Sandy did yesterday was win clear enough. Like, she didn't leave it close enough for that to get taken away from her and be Sandy, oh, if you did a little bit more, I thought you should have won, but no. She won that and punched Jessica McCastle's head in that time, I thought. Really, really thought so. And yeah, I don't know, Frank Smith's just off camera over there. You can't hear what I'm saying right now, but I think we're going to sit down, me, him, Eddie, and maybe even discuss a new location for this fight right now, because, yeah, it's a big moment for me, and I don't feel like, if there isn't things put in sort of place of what judges we're going to be having, how many of what, 3 American judges? Yeah, right, no chance. I'm not even getting on the plane, definitely getting in the ring. We need to have this sorted out, because, yeah, as much as I go in there with a I don't care holds attitude, I've had people on the phone to me, people in my team, people like my training partners, everyone from that result going, yo, are you sure you're going over there after that? Like, everyone watched that fight yesterday. Everyone knows what a robbery that was. And if that's the season right now for British fighters coming over to America, I'm up against it. I'm already the underdog, and I'm already fighting a very good fighter in Bam, and I know that.
It's worth saying, because it's your life's work, that IBF belt. You know what I mean? That's what you've dreamed of doing, and you've got to this point where you're getting flown around the world. You're not willing to lose that over leaving it in somebody's hands who may not be competent enough.
Yeah, and I mean, don't get me wrong, no matter what happens, I'll always be confident with, my opinion on what happens in the fight over the judges. So whether they verdict it one way or another, I just know it's 3 people's opinion on the fight. So I won't ever take it fully personally at heart, but obviously a loss can derail and spiral out your career in ways that you don't really fully know until you've lost your own and you're trying to pick it up now. So obviously everything's important right now, but, one thing I do rest quite assured and the peace of is, I'm well looked after by Matchroom and Eddie and Frank, and the whole way through this process, even though I'm quite new in the door, they've made it apparent that they're dealing with both fighters as home fighters, Bam really wanted his name first on the poster as the home fighter, so it wasn't even me, it's been instilled that I walk second, etc. Like, there's going to be the balances here and where, so I feel like now probably we're looking at 2 British judges, 1 American and an American ref, I'd say. Probably what we're going to look at right now. I feel like as the away fighter, I feel like that's what I'd insist on.
But you're also strongly considering not fighting here at all, I'm guessing, based on what you saw last night.
Yeah, unless there's some assurances made. And I know they can do it. I've seen it happen before, and if this fight last night didn't happen, I weren't sat there in my first trip to America watching my friend try and realise a dream and get really, really, really robbed, then I wouldn't be here saying this. But, it's all a bit too real right now, and I just know on the 17th of December, I can't wake up like Sandy did today, because I would be losing the plot. She's too nice.
And the last thing I want to speak to you about is, we'll keep it short, but I'm just out of curiosity. One of the things I thought about the Conor Benn fight last night was the amount of pressure he must have been carrying walking to that ring, knowing that the entire world is looking to just cast judgment on him, his performance, his power, the way he looks. just based on obviously what he got accused of and whatever been going on behind the scenes. How do you think he dealt with all that? And are you surprised how cool and calm he looked?
Nah, not really. I feel like, if I'm perfectly honest, if I'm a fighter, if I'm in Conor's position, I'm more elated and buzzing to be back in the ring. I feel like you gave me someone that doesn't box's perspective. You know what I mean? Like, where you'd think his head go. I think he would have been so buzzing and so elated that all of the process that he can just actually get in the ring and fight. That he was more. I think he was pumped up. I thought he was switched on. I don't think things were getting amongst him. He's a professional and he's been in the limelight now and he knows. You know, there's not many fighters that get dragged up on. You know, like the mainstream media like Conor did, and now he's come through it. You know, fighting in not the biggest venue, not the biggest crowd, etc. It's probably quite a nice like reintroduction, roll back into it. I can tell you now for a fact, Conor got shown a lot of love throughout fight week, through the hotels and that. So yeah, definitely. I think he was more excited to be back, and I feel like he put in a great performance. Really, for the first 3 rounds, I think he emptied his tank a little bit too much, expecting, like we all did, that Roxo would not get through these rounds. But when he showed that he didn't, he started coming back a bit stronger. He got a bit more discipline with his performance. He started picking his shots, calculating how much energy he was exposing as well. So yeah, I think, if anything, I'm seeing people pick holes in that performance because it was a knockout. I think Conor Benn ticked more boxes that night against someone that, okay, regardless of what he looked like when he got hit, or, you know, he had a good record, he hadn't been stopped before, he had knockouts in his thing, and he was a young Mexican fighter, 24, that had been boxing for years now, like against men, you know what I mean? A tough fighter in his own right, come with a lot of ambition to try and change his life, and I think Conor did everything he needed to do and won clearly. Maybe there was a couple of rounds he used a little bit too much energy, got caught more than he needed to, but that's where he was dragged into maturity, and he showed it, where, you know, a more inexperienced fighter might have carried on working at the same pace and then completely flatlined against a fighter that weren't clearly going anywhere after 10 rounds.
Interesting thoughts. Sonny, last thing, any message for all your Twitter fans, the people that thought you wouldn't come to America, you'd stay in the UK? Any final message for them before I let you go and you catch your flight home?
Yeah, well, I get the flight back first, yeah, so let's not speak too soon.
Sonny, have a safe flight home, yeah, thank you.